So what is seller financing and why should I care? If you've watched many of my videos or other videos on note investing, you've probably come across this term before. And before I tell you why this is so important, I first want to give you a short definition. Seller financing is a type of real estate agreement where the buyer of a house will pay back the seller in installments over time instead of using a traditional mortgage. So this means that the seller is selling the house to the buyer and giving the buyer a loan. If you didn't quite catch all that, don't worry. We are going to go through a detailed example in just a minute. I first want to provide you with some level of motivation so that you have a compelling reason to stay engaged. And the reason is simple. As note investors, some of our best deals are going to be seller-financed real estate notes. More on that later as well. So let's walk through a scenario so we really understand what seller financing is all about. I believe that walking people through scenarios creates clarity and makes concepts really stick. And this is especially true with notes, where these concepts can be unfamiliar to most people, even seasoned real estate investors. So in our scenario, we have two fictitious characters, Sam the seller and Bob the buyer. Let's start by focusing on our friend Sam the seller. Sam the seller needs to sell his house for $125,000, and he's having trouble selling it quickly for the price that he wants. Maybe he can't wait months for a real estate closing with traditional financing. Maybe in his neighborhood, in the price band of real estate, conventional financing is just hard to get. Maybe rising interest rates have cut off a large portion of his buyer pool from being eligible for conventional financing. And to make matters worse, maybe he lives in a remote area where there isn't much demand already, shrinking his already small buyer pool. You can see the problem here. So to expand his pool of potential buyers, shorten the time frame for the real estate closing, and increase his sales price, he can list his home on the market and offer seller financing. This means that the buyer of this property is not going to need to go to a conventional bank or private money lender. They can simply submit their down payment and immediately start making monthly payments to the seller, just the same as they would to a bank. This really isn't much different than what we've previously talked about. There's still a note, there's still a mortgage, there's an interest rate, and a period over which the loan must be paid. It's really very similar to what a bank does. The bank has money, Sam has the home. When Bob wants to buy the home, he can either go to the bank to get the loan to pay Sam, or he can go to Sam for the loan himself. And by the way, Sam may not want to provide seller financing, but as I stated before, he may have to, based on his unique circumstance. And this is precisely the opportunity that note investors look for. They see a seller who's holding the mortgage that really wants or needs a lump sum of cash today. We can buy these notes at a discount. And we can often get a steeper discount when approaching these individuals directly, rather than looking for notes from a bank or hedge fund, as these individuals do not have much of a market, or any market at all, for their note. So the competition is significantly less. Money is often made in real estate by solving other people's problems. And in this case, we are solving someone's liquidity problem. We are suddenly making an asset they had no market for, completely liquid. And we are being rewarded for that. So there's a lot more to talk about, but this concludes our intro to seller financing. If you have new questions about seller financing or note investing in general, feel free to set up a time to talk. I love sharing my knowledge, and I hope that you found this valuable. Thank you for watching.